Hello everyone and welcome back to another Warcry video. I'm Rito and I'm going to take you through the new, just released, just leaked cards for Cities of Sigmar Hammerhall that are going to be released in the White Dwarf. So what we're going to do today is first off take a look at all the fighter cards. There's 18 fighter cards in this one, and have a look at all the stats for the fighters. Then we'll move on to see how they perform points wise, like mathematically. Have a look at the abilities everyone has access to, and then last but not least, show you what kind of list I came up with. So let's start off with the leader options. You can see I've marked all your leader options in yellow here. So interestingly, you have 18 fighter cards, but 8 out of those are already leader options. So in reality, there's 10 fighter options and 8 leaders. Now, first off, you have the guild champion. He's the great sword leader. The great sword leader, he costs 175 points, so not cheap, but yeah, decently priced. He's like 175 points is not uncommon for leader type units in many warbands. He has a move of 4, which isn't horribly fast, but not horribly slow either. Toughness of 4, which is not bad. 20 wounds. Decently survivable. Range only 1-inch attack. 4 attacks though, which is good. Strength 4, not bad at all. And 2-4 damage. So a very average profile here. Not bad. We'll get into how good I think he is in a moment. Then we have the Free Guild Sergeant. He's basically the cheaper option for the champion. He's he's the Free Guild Guard guy instead of a Free Guild what's it called? Sorry, the Free Guild Greatsword. So he's the Free Guild Sergeant at 130 points. He's rather cheap for a hero. Movement 4, toughness 3 only, but also 20 wounds, so still quite survivable. His attacks are a bit weaker because he only has 3 attacks instead of 4 attacks that the champion has, but other than that, he's basically the same. So 1 less toughness, 1 less attack for 45 points less. Really not bad at all. Then you've got the marksman with repeater gun. So that's one of the options you can build with the handgunner set. He's also a leader, obviously, 445 points, a bit more expensive than the Free Guild Sergeant. Same baseline of stats, so movement 4, toughness 3, 20 wounds. His range is 12 inches, which is not terribly far, but not horrible, of course, because he's ranged. He's got 3 attacks, strength 4, 1, 3 damage. That is honestly not great. That's not much better than most like random ranged dudes in game are. Most of them have 2 attacks, so 1 attack more than like some of the other cheap ranged guys we're going to see. But I doubt he's going to be worth 145 points. Then we've got the marksman with long rifle. He comes in at 200 points and is the most expensive of the leader options. Also movement 3, toughness 3, and 20 wounds. A range of 20, which is amazing. So he's basically almost always going to be able to hit everything on the board. He only has 1 attack at strength 4, 4 damage, and 10 crit damage. So if you roll that 6, he's going to be amazing, but having only 1 attack is a bit bad. We'll see in a second when we look at abilities that this can be remedied somewhat, but at 200 points, I think you're going to struggle to get your money's worth out of him. Then we've got the Free Guild Guards. So we've got the Sword and Shield, the Spear, and the Halberd variant. The Sword and Shield guy costs 80 points, so he's the most expensive of the 3. He has a movement of 4, toughness 4 because he has a shield. The other 2 guys have toughness 3, all of them have 10 wounds. The Sword and Shield guy only has a range of 1, the other both have 2. All of them have 3 attacks. The halberd is strength 4, where the sword and shield and the spear are only 3. So the halberd is higher strength. All of them have 1 damage base, and both the spear and the halberd have 4 crit, and the sword only has 3. So as you can tell, sword has low strength, low damage output, low crit damage output, so his damage output is going to be a lot worse than that of the other two. Yet he is more expensive, which is only due to the toughness. You probably know what my opinion on toughness is if you've watched any of my other videos. I think he's probably not going to be worth it over the others. So even though I don't think he's horrible in terms of his stat line, but the spear at 65 points, 15 points less, all he suffers from is losing 1 toughness, but on the other hand he gets the extra range and he gets the extra crit damage, in my opinion a lot better than the sword and shield. Then we've got another leader option. He's the Ironbeard with gun and bomb. So sorry, with like Drakefire pistol and bomb, whatever it is. He comes in at 175 points, same price as the guild champion, and he might be the worst leader option I've ever seen. He is absolutely horrible. 3-inch move is crazy bad. Toughness 4, not bad, but not great either. 22 wounds, okay, fine, but not much better than the guild champion. He has a ranged attack with his bomb, which is his better ranged attack. He has one with a pistol, which is abysmally bad, but he has one with his bomb, which is only range 5, so really short ranged. Only has 2 attacks, strength 4, damage 2/4. Honestly, this guy is trash. Absolute garbage. Would never bring him. Don't recommend anyone bringing him. Yeah, don't do it. Then we've got the Ironbreaker. 95 points. Quite expensive for a baseline infantry model. Movement 3 is obviously bad. 3-inch move is always bad in Warcry. Toughness 5, that is quite good. And 12 wounds is also quite good. So he's very survivable for his points cost, of course, as you'd expect out of a dwarf. The real issue is his attacks are bad. He's got the same attack power as the guard with sword and shield. 1-3-3-1-3. Not a good stat line to attack with, and probably not worth 95 points. Then we've got the Wildwood Warden. He's another leader option, basically the leader of the Wildwood Rangers. And he's 140 points, so relatively cheap actually. Especially for a leader, 140 points is quite cheap. Movement 5, toughness 3, and 16 wounds. So he is fragile. This is amongst the most fragile you'll see out of your leaders. So this is quite squishy. He has 1-inch range, so he needs to get very close. Again, which is not amazing for his fragileness. However, he does have 4 attacks, strength 4, 2/4 damage. So he's the same cost, he's the same damage output as the guild champion is, the greatsword guy. And he really what he loses is 1 toughness and 4 wounds. But he's 35 points cheaper, so that's the deal you get there, 1 toughness and 4 wounds for 35 points. If it's worth it or not, we'll see in a second. Then we've got the Wildwood Ranger. He's 85 points, which is not super expensive, not super cheap. Movement 5, great, I love that. Toughness 3, 8 wounds. I've done a video on which models can one hit kill other models, and toughness 3, 8 wounds is something that can be one-shotted by quite a few things, on average attacks actually. So that's something to keep in mind. A bit definitely more squishy than some of the guard guys. especially since this guy also has only 1-inch range. He has 3 attacks, which is not bad, strength 4, which is better than most of the guard, and 2/4 damage output. So very good damage output there for a relatively cheap model. Then we've got the Free Guild Greatsword. He is 10 points more expensive, and he gains 1 point in toughness and 2 wounds over the Wildwood Ranger. However, he loses that in 1 point in strength. So that's basically the trade-off you do there. You gain 10. It's 10 points more expensive for the extra toughness and 2 wounds, but you do lose 1 point in strength. Again, I think a point could be made that he's worth it, although I don't know why he's 10 points more expensive. I think they could have made that trade without making him more expensive. And we've got the Crossbowman. So the Free Guild Crossbow and the Free Guild Handgunner, they are very similar. Both 80 points, 4, 3, 10, so 4 movement, 3 toughness, 10 wounds, both of them. What really is different between them, the crossbow has 4-inch more range, he's at 16 inches range, and the handgunner is at 12 inch. Both of them have 2 attacks and a damage profile of 1-3. However, the crossbow is at strength 3 and the handgun is strength 4. So you're losing 4 inches of range, but gaining 1 point in strength with the handgunner. Since I think that most of the time in Warcry 12 inches will be quite sufficient, I think the handgunner is slightly better here. But the crossbow is probably just as good. It's really very close between these guys. Then we've got another leader option, which is the Iron Warden with Torpedo. So he's the Iron Drake champion. 190 points again, so another very expensive ranged guy. 3-inch move, not great, but for a ranged guy it's kind of okay-ish because, well, he doesn't have to move far. Toughness 4, 22 wounds, so very survivable, but do you need a survivable ranged guy? I don't think so. Probably making him more expensive than it's actually useful. 16-inch range, which is very good. 2 attacks, strength 5, 2/5 damage. So this guy at least has the potential of dealing out some good damage. However, again, he's very expensive, and I struggle to see how he's going to be worth his points. Then we've got the Iron Drake, the normal one, 95 points again, quite expensive. Slower than the handgunners and humans, obviously, at 3-inch move. Toughness 4, 12 wounds, so they are very survivable again, but again, do you need survivable ranged guys? I don't think so. Range of 12, so same as the handgunners. 2 attacks, same as the handgunners. Strength 3 though, not strength 4 that the handgunners have. It's weird. And then they have damage 1, as the handgunners do, and crit damage 4. So all they have over the handgunners is 1 point in crit damage. They lose 1 point in strength, and they cost 15 points more. I don't think the Iron Drake is going to be worth it. And then last but not least, we've got the Blackguard. So the captain, 170 points, not super expensive. He's fine, I think. Movement 5, toughness 4, 20 wounds, all perfectly fine. A range of 2, which is nice. 4 attacks, which is also nice. Only strength 3, sadly, but 2/4 damage, not bad. Honestly, not a bad leader as well. So basically, you're getting 1 point in movement over the guild champion, and 1 point in range, and you're losing 1 point in strength. So your damage output is definitely lower, but I think he might be worth it. He's not bad. And then we've got the normal Blackguard. They are 105 points, which seems very expensive for infantry. 5-inch move, toughness 4, 10 wounds. Not bad, but also not amazing, to be honest. Um, Range 2 is obviously good, but only 3 attacks, strength 3 at 2-4 damage. Not great. For 105 points, I would want a bit more out of these guys. So let's have a look at how they actually perform points-wise. For the guild champion, you can see. Oh, let's go through it like this. You can see that the guild champion is basically average in everything. He is decent damage output for his point value, 4 activations to be taken down, so relatively survivable. For his point value, nothing surprising there. So he's like a perfect baseline guy. Same goes for the free guild sergeant. He obviously does deal less damage, and he's obviously less survivable, but he also costs less, so that's fine. Then we've got the marksman. Both of them have below average damage, which is what you expect out of ranged dudes. Anyways, ranged guys normally have lower than average damage. Um, yeah, but the long rifle obviously is very hit and miss. Very high crit damage, and so if you don't roll any sixes the game, he's gonna suck. If you roll lots of sixes, he's gonna be great. Well, then we've got the free guild guard guys, and as I said already, the only one who's kind of underwhelming is the sword and shield. All he has is 1 point of toughness more, which actually won't help him much in terms of survivability. While the other guys, they are cheaper and they deal more damage. So obviously they actually perform better in terms of point value. So I think both the spear and the halberd are probably better. You can see that the halberd does do more damage on average per action, zero point 0.4 points of damage more. However, the spear is also a lot cheaper. He's only 65 points. And then we've got the Ironbeard with gun and bomb, the leader guy. As I said, horrible damage output, quite survivable, yes, but you don't need ranged guys who are survivable. Weird combination, just not good. You've got the Ironbreaker. Um, yeah, the thing is with him that his damage is just too low. 2 points of damage on average is very low for a model that's 95 points. So yes, he's very survivable. He's actually the only one who's good point value in terms of survivability, but I think he's just a bit expensive. And we've got the Wildwood Warden. He's got good damage output here, as you can see, for his points value, because he's a lot cheaper than the guild champion. Obviously more squishy, but again, that's fine for his points. He's still in decent territory there. And we've got the Wildwood Ranger. He is the best damage per point value in the warband. 4 damage per action is really good. Couple that with not that high a price at 85 points, and you've got a very decent model. However, if he gets hit, he's dead. That's just the way it is. So you have to really watch out when using these guys. Then we've got the Greatsword, lower damage than the Wildwood Ranger for sure. 0.03 damage per point value, not bad, so average damage. And a bit more survivable than the Ranger. So he's more like the kind of safer option, if you will. Then we've got the Crossbowman and the Handgunner. You can see that the Handgunner's damage is higher on average, but as I said, you're losing the range, so if you do want higher range, the crossbow is probably still better. Then we've got the Iron Warden with Torpedo. At least his damage is decent, so you can see he has 3.7 damage on average per action, which is a lot higher than the long rifle actually. So if you're going to go with a ranged leader, I think this one is the best one. And we've got the Iron Drake, pitiful damage output, would never bring him. Captain of the Black Guard, yeah, he's not bad. He's as you can see, all very average. Nothing wrong there. I'm just realizing that I don't have a value here. No idea why, but I can tell you the 3.1 is on the lower end. He's probably going to be in that 0.02 territory just because he's 105 points, which is very expensive, and at the same time not dealing a lot of damage. So yeah, that's all of the fighters there. And then let's have a look at the abilities. So the first double ability, which all fighters can access, is to add 1 strength and attack when they are within 3 inch of an objective. That is a very good ability. Everyone knows Onslaught is good. You use Onslaught all the time. And this is just better than Onslaught. However, only usable when next to an objective, of course. I think that's perfectly fine, because you can still use Onslaught otherwise, but if you're next to an objective, you will always use this. Then we've got a double, which only works for the great swords and the rangers. So for both the leader options and the standard one. So for all of these 3 guys and for the guild champion. This is add half value to the crit damage of the next attack action. So if you have a double 5 or double 6, it can be good. It does do more damage on one attack action than you do with Onslaught. However, only if you have one attack action. So as I was saying, it's just insanely situational. So only if you have moved and are then attacking, and if you've already, if you have a 5 or 6 for the double. So not a good ability, to be fair. Then you've got a double for all leaders. All leaders have this double, and basically gives +1 toughness to all shield guys within 3 inch. So that's the sword and shield people and the iron breakers. That's a bad ability. It's really bad. It's only 3 inch bubble, which I don't like at all. It's only gives 1 toughness, which is not great in general. You can't activate it with one of the sword guys, for example, that you need to be tougher, but you have to do it with the leader. None of the leaders themselves have a shield, so it doesn't ever affect your leader, so it doesn't make the leader more survivable. I think this is just not very good. So yeah, probably never gonna use it. Then there's a triple for the leaders, and that's add 1 to attack characteristic for friendly units within 6 inches if you have taken down someone in your turn. That's a very good one. Adding 1 attack within the 6 inch bubble is very strong. However, it does require you to take someone down with your leader first. And that's not super easy to do, as most of these are not super high damage output leaders. This ability is certainly probably best with either the Wildwood Warden or the Guild Champion, because both of those have actually the potential to take down opponents relatively quickly. So I think these are probably your best chances of using that triple, which is actually why I would recommend bringing one of these. Then you've got the triple for all ranged units. So every ranged character in the game has this. Sorry, not in the game, in the warband has this, and it's at half the value of the ability to the attack characteristics of your next attack action. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. So if you are going to bring some of the very elite shooting units, for example, the Iron Warden with torpedo, or the marksman with the long rifle, he only has 1 shot, but if you have a 555 or 666, you suddenly have 4 shots, 4 attacks, and every 6 you roll is 10 damage. Suddenly that becomes quite powerful. He will dish out a lot of damage. But the thing is, you can't combine it with this triple then, because Yes, with the triple you will probably take someone out, but then you can't use another ability to buff your guys. So not a great combination there. Um, Normally you'll only have one triple available each turn. So I normally think that this one is going to be better, but the ranged one is not bad at all. The real issue though is that your powerful ranged guys are all leaders. So it's obviously not bad on a handgunner as well. Buffing a handgun up from 2 to 4 or 5 attacks is quite good, but it's still a triple and it's only for one attack action. But anyways, I think it's still usable. Then you've got the quad ability, and this is very interesting. All fighters can use this, and when you use this, the fighter you have chosen gets one extra attack action, and then one fighter of your choice within 3 inches of him also gets a bonus attack action. That is amazing in my opinion. That's 2 free attack actions. I do not think there's any ability in the game that gives you 2 free attack actions. So this is very, very good in my opinion and can lead to some insane damage output. So let's say you have 2 Wildwood Rangers next to an opponent. Throw that down, use one of them. You can attack twice, get 8 damage out there, and then use that quad and get another 8 damage out there because he and his friend can both strike again. Beautiful combination. I think that's very powerful. And keep in mind, if one of your fighters has used, for example, this double before, adding 1 to the attack and strength characteristic, this is for all the remaining attacks. So I think if after using that, another fighter uses their squad and you attack with the first guy, he's still going to have 1 extra attack and strength. Let's have a look if this is actually true. No, it's this activation, sorry. That's not true because it ends after the activation is over for the fighter. But so that's not true, but anyways, still a very good ability. So I love this squad. Very cool. Right. So after we've discussed all of that, let's have a little look at what a list could look like. I think it's not going to surprise you much because at this point you'll have heard what I think are the better fighters, and yeah, you'll probably not be surprised. So for my leader, I would choose the guild champion, just because I think he's very solid for his points, he's survivable, he does good damage, and you need the good damage output in order to use that triple leader ability, which is very powerful. That's going to be a power multiplier if you can get it off. So you want a leader who can actually deal high damage. So I think the guild champion is very good, but a close second is the Wildwood Warden. He is also very, very good, especially because he's cheap and has movement 5. So both of these are great options for that. And then we've got the fighters I'm using most of. It's the guard with spear. 5 of those, because that's a lot of bodies. They are very cheap at 65 points and honestly quite good. 3 attacks at 1/4 damage, really not bad at all. With the 2-inch range, you can keep them out of trouble for the most part. Have all the activations, really good model. And then I'm going to use 3 Wildwood Rangers because you need some more heavy punch. Just having chaff guys like these spears, even though they perform well for the points value, you're sometimes going to need more punching power in order to track down something more powerful. So I think the Wildwood Rangers are a solid choice for that, and I would bring 3 of those. But you need to protect them. That's why, also why bringing more spears is probably good. And then I would actually bring 3 handgunners, because you could put 1 in every battle group. This is not the fastest moving warband. Lots of your fighters are only movement 4. You have a few movement 5 options. but in general it's not super fast. So having the handguns allows you to force the opponent to you. You have a lot more like board control. You can take down fighters that are very fast and running away from you. I think having a couple of these guys is going to be powerful, just to get that little bit of annoying constant focus down. And honestly, like their damage output at 1.7 on average per round is not bad. You might want to use the triple at some occasion, like if there's a critical enemy you really need to take down, he carries a treasure or whatever. Use that triple and suddenly you have decent damage output. Let's see here. For example, say it's a triple 5, so I would have 5 attacks with the handgun, and suddenly we're looking at 4.2 damage on average, which would suddenly be very good. So I think these guys are not bad. And that's 12 fighters in total, 995 points. So a lot of activations, a lot of fighters, really good damage output from the Wild Oat Rangers and the champion, good ability, access. I think in general this is a good warband. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.